And it took me at my lowest to kind of go back and notice all of that and use that to like build myself up and be like, you know what, I can do this. I have dealt with things going wrong before. I have always survived it. I can survive it again. I can use these skills and go build this dream life. And if I invest 100% in these things that I have always known are right for me, what's going to happen? Because I've only been investing about 20% in them. So what if I give it everything? And that was the huge shift, was truly just believing in myself and believing this is going to happen. It was always supposed to happen.
Hello, everybody, beautiful people on the other side of this podcast. We are coming at you today live to put some glitter in your earbuds with our new guest and our new friend, Anna Kloots, who is a New York Times bestselling author, a writer, a traveler, and a fellow lover of sparkle and magic. So, we had to get her on the show. We had to talk to her about her journey and how she has found herself and reinvented herself and all her gained wisdom and her really cool story and her really cool new book called My Own Magic, which you should all get and read. I'm really excited to read it. In all confessions, I have not read it yet, even though I have 2 copies because I've been planning my wedding.
Anna. Yeah, both. You have an advanced reader copy, but then you have the real deal too.
Yeah, the real deal. Everyone go to Patreon. Go to Patreon and look at this amazing cover, which I do want to talk about because I know you created this cover, and I want to talk about the magic behind the image. And if you can't see it, patreon.com/high5. You'll thank me later.
Shameless plug. Okay.
I know.
Moving on. So Anna,
whatever.
Thanks for being here. We're super excited to introduce you to our audience. So tell them a little bit about what you do and how you got here and
your story.
Oh boy. I guess in a nutshell, I live in Paris now. I always wanted to live in Paris and be an author, and my whole life kind of fell apart about 4 years ago. My 10-year relationship, 5-year marriage ended really suddenly. I lost my job, apartment, and husband all in a day. And I kind of had to reinvent my life and get back in touch with myself. And I decided to move to Paris and sort of go for everything I always dreamed of doing and had been kind of working on, but just never really believed in myself enough to think that it could be my life and could be my career. And I just kind of changed that mindset and moved to Paris and started writing books. And now I live in Paris, and I'm an author, and I create content for small brands, and I have a photography business, and I kind of wear all the hats that I always used to sort of just put on from time to time and entertain the idea of wearing. And now I wear them all every day, which is a lot, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yay, applause for achieving your dreams and living your best life. That's what
I need to take
about.
Notes from her, Kels. My dream is to live in Scotland, and it's gonna happen.
She will live in Scotland.
Will.
Yeah, I definitely will. But Kels, can I just ask her one geeky question? You were 30, correct? About when this all was going down and all you had this all these things going on. Kels, do you remember how old the Saturn return situation is?
Oh yeah, we were just talking about this.
Your return to Saturn is at, I think mine just happened. It was 29. It was my 29th birthday was my return to Saturn.
Classic.
So yeah.
And I felt it enormously. Like when I learned what that was, I was like, whoa. And I just recently had my emerald year.
Ooh.
And I was like, wow, okay.
Wait, teach us about what the emerald year is. What's that?
Emerald year is basically when you are like the cosmic homecoming queen. Like everything is just like going your way. It's like,
we love that.
Like everything is happening for you. You're in the spotlight, and it's like, it's a really just good year to just go for everything and like, put pen to paper and make things come true and sort of just like step into the spotlight because it's shining on you, but you got to step up and acknowledge.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, the timings of things, that how they happened and how it coincided with things.
Honestly, yeah. Since I learned about Saturn return, now every time a client will tell me, or every time a friend or whoever is like, yeah, all these things, and even for myself, my first question to them is like, how old, like what year was this? Because 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh yeah, that is my Saturn return. It's so uncanny. And so, for me anyway, it does help to know that like it's part of the process. Like there's nothing cosmically wrong going.
It feels wrong in the moment. And then later, like you look back, I almost look back at it fondly and almost like miss that time of kind of being lost and everything up in the air and kind of being like this really broken, malleable version of myself, because in retrospect, it's so beautiful. And it's really hard to go through it in the moment, but like there's moments now where I kind of like want it back, or like I wish I could experience a day like that again, because there's beauty in breaking.
There's beauty and there's possibility, right? I think the hardest part about the unknown is like, well, what's going to happen? What if it all goes wrong? But the gift in that also is like, oh my gosh, like you can write
what's going to happen,
literally write whatever you want. You can write your story from here. And there is something beautiful. I like that you said that about everything crumbling, that tower moment where everything comes crumbling down, because look what you can build. Like you have that option to do that. And oh my gosh, look what you've done. Look at you. I think this is what the best case scenario of what could happen when you embrace your journey and really kind of make it your own. So
yeah, I think that's the thing though. You have to look at it as a possibility and you have to embrace it. And it's hard to do. I am not saying it like,
right.
Oh, just embrace it. Like it's not going to be easy to embrace it. But you have to, because it is a time of immense possibility, and you need to just pick yourself up and have confidence in who you are and what you're capable of more than ever. And when you can do that, then that's when you can just start building.
Yeah. How do you feel like you shifted into that believing space? Because, well, we're manifestation pros on the show. So we're always talking about manifesting. And, a common conception in the manifestation realm is that you have to believe 1,000,000,000% that like this is going to be your reality. But I just heard you say there was a point where I didn't really believe if it was for me or if it was going to happen or if I could make it happen, yet I still did. So walk us through some of the mindset and beliefs and how it shifted to make it more possible for you, or did it not shift and it still happened anyway? I'm curious.
No, it shifted. You see in my book, like and that's why I kind of wanted to tell the whole story. It starts when I'm like very late teens, just graduated high school, and moves through my whole 20s and ends with my life falling apart at 30 and then rebuilding it. And I was very confident always and very sure of myself, and said from the time I was little, like, I want to write a book. I want to be a writer. And I want to live in Paris. Like these things I loved and felt I was meant for were so clear to me. And then I started to doubt them. And a lot of that was because of the relationship I was in and comparing myself to this person that I thought was so high above me, and letting the way life unfolded make me convince myself that maybe these things weren't possible, or I didn't deserve them, or it was never actually going to happen. And I think I held on to the belief that I was supposed to, and that it's what I really wanted, but I really started to doubt if it was possible for me. And it took my whole life, kind of breaking and falling apart and having to figure out, what am I going to do again? And I almost did like a little inventory of my, my achievements and my skills basically. And I kind of looked back at everything I had done and gave myself the credit that was due, that I wasn't giving myself in the moment. I was glazing over achievements and glazing over my own strengths and what makes me awesome and great, and, what I'm capable of. And it took me at my lowest to kind of go back and notice all of that and use that to like build myself up and be like, you know what, I can do this. I have dealt with things going wrong before. I have always survived it. I can survive it again. I can use these skills and go build this dream life. And if I invest 100% in these things that I have always known are right for me, what's going to happen? Because I've only been investing about 20% in them. So what if I give it everything? And that was the huge shift, was truly just believing in myself and believing this is going to happen. It was always supposed to happen.
I love everything you just said. Everything you just said. is such good medicine. I know, Kelsey, you love that word. I'm going to borrow it. It's such good medicine for people hearing it. It's good medicine for people who already know this stuff, but anytime you can like integrate it a little bit more and hear it again, oh my gosh. In the way that you just said it, chef's kiss.
Because it's like when we're young, we do have a lot of knowing and a lot of clarity and a lot of passion for certain things. But then, like you said, life happens and then you start to doubt. And I know a lot of people right now are feeling that pull towards things that they're passionate about, or creative projects or side hustles or whatever it is, and they want to make a change, but they're scared. And I think your story is a beautiful example of how, when you can move a little bit enough past the fear to entertain the possibility and then go all in and just see what happens. Like, what's the worst that could happen if I go all in? I've only ever tried to a certain degree. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. And start listing reasons why you can instead of reasons why you can't. You know, that's just in general. And that's why I like what you said. Like, I forgot to celebrate all the reasons what makes me awesome and makes me unique and resilient and all these things. Like, we all have those, but we're not taught how to do that. And in fact, we're kind of steered away from it.
No, and when we're looking in the mirror in the morning, we're not like, you are so awesome. You
wait, I actually do that. I really do.
Well, but that's what we should do.
But I didn't do that for a long time.
Look at my hair, you know, I need to fix, you know, I need to go get this appointment and that appointment. My skin isn't like, we're not complimenting ourselves on the regular. We're tearing ourselves down. And maybe they're little jabs or maybe they're big, but either way, they're jabs. And instead, we should be every day like taking count of what we're doing right, what makes us great, what we achieved. And those are these little reminders that build us up instead of tear us down.
Yeah. Aren't we done with that? Like, let's be done tearing ourselves down. We tried it, didn't work. Let's try something else. Like,
I think we do it without even realizing it. It's
right.
Like in our heads. We're not even saying it out.
It's so insidious.
Negative stream in our heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I do like to wake up and say, you know what? It's going to be a great day. You're doing so good. I don't always do it, but when I do it, I mean, you can't help but just feel better. I think that's a good homework piece for everybody. Just try it for a week and see what happens. Just try pointing out all the reasons why you can make it through a Monday during retrograde after a full moon.
And eclipse season where everyone was losing it. Oh man, I can't wait for people to listen to this episode and the one that's going to come consecutively after, because we did go into the Saturn return stuff with an astrologer, so it'll be a good follow-up to this conversation. But I just love everything about this conversation so far. I'm so excited. When I was skimming through your book, I couldn't help but notice that you're married to a magician, which I thought was hilarious because my dad was a magician at one point. Magic by Mike, shout out. And so growing up, my dad would always do like magic tricks, and still to this day, you guys, it is bad. Like, we'll literally go out to like Teppanyaki. Let's say we're at Benihana. That's like one of his favorites, right? And we'll go and he'll be like, oh, don't worry, guys, I got the bill. And he has like a trick wallet, and he opens it and flames come out of the wallet. And I'm just like,
no.
Oh,
Kelsey, I don't think you've ever like told me that your dad.
But yeah, never told me your dad is Harry Potter. He's never going to listen to this, so hopefully I'm safe. I'm in a safe space here.
We love your dad.
We love him. Magic by Mike, so awesome. But he does have, a lot of fun card tricks.
Redating Magic Mike.
When I was little, pulling the coin out from behind the ear. Never fully understood that one till I grew up.
Know all the tricks.
I know right? I know you know. So when I was
no one ever thinks it's going to be a part of their life until either your dad turns out to be a magician or your husband does, or you never know what's going to happen. That's what's funny. It's like we were talking about Harry Potter earlier. I loved Harry Potter, so when I met my ex-husband, I was like, this is cool. I genuinely thought it was just really cool. I didn't, and there was no like everything that I was privy to was very much like street magic, like small, everyday object manipulation. Like, it wasn't sort of these like big stage illusions that I was a part of. So I was seeing this like cool side of everything.
Yeah.
But it is a very interesting, anytime you get this like sneak peek into this world that you didn't really know existed or know anything about, it's really fascinating. And I found myself like, I stepped into it willingly, but then like I was just submerged fully in this alternative universe of magicians. And it was really interesting reality to live in for a while. And
have you ever been to the Magic Castle in LA?
Yeah, I've been to the Magic Castle there's a whole chapter about the Magic Castle in my book.
I only went one time, and I got called up for a stage trick, and he pulled my card out of an orange, you guys, that wasn't even open. I was so impressed.
What's so interesting now is, and I mean, it's always been like
but
this.
You know how these are done, don't you?
Exactly. But when someone retells it like this, it's so interesting to me because it is this like your eyes were just like huge and you were like out of an orange and it wasn't open. In my brain, knowing this trick intensely, I've seen cards come out of an orange, a lemon, an apple, a Snickers bar. I've seen a card come out of everything, and I'm just like,
But it was like wet though. It was wet with the juice.
But it's amazing that it can give someone this moment, and that little moment is in a way incredible. That we can still give someone that, and that's what really it kept me so interested in the whole world for a long time, was that I did find it really, really cool and beautiful in many ways.
I did not know your dad was a magician, Kelsey.
Yeah, fun fact. I mean, more fun facts to come for everyone listening. It's been a couple of years, but we have more years on the table to go. Okay. So you never know what's going to come out. I mean, between my dad being a magician and then when I was a grapevine and I performed on stilts.
She was a grapevine.
I was a literal grapevine. Lindsay can attest to this.
Well, not a literal grapevine. You weren't a literal
magical grapevine.
Okay.
Divine the grapevine. That was me. But yeah, I've lived many lives, so that's just a small detail of one. But when I was reading through her book, I was like, oh, we got a magician on our hands. This is gonna be entertaining.
You will appreciate some things in there on a deeper level.
I will.
Sure.
Do you give away any secrets?
Only my own.
Yeah, she can't give away his. That's like cardinal sin.
You actually cannot.
You literally cannot. You will be like probably murdered.
So Lindsay, do not ask her how the orange trick is done. Got it.
She won't tell you.
She won't tell you. She's like, you can ask. I won't say it. Wow, that's very interesting.
I mean, think about it. Even after divorcing this man, she will not tell his secrets. That's how cardinal sin it is to like reveal a magician's secrets. The loyalty still exists.
I have enormous respect for it as an art form. I mean, it is not easy. And they're not my secrets to tell, but the in a way, my book is sort of like a magician's assistant tells all, but I'm telling what I learned by being involved, and what I ended up taking out of the experience as what does magic mean to me? And it doesn't mean magic as the magic life I signed up for. I found my own magic life that I much prefer, and feel much more, I found my own magic that has, the title.
Literally the title of the book. Yeah. It comes full circle. I just love it. Can we talk about the cover for a sec?
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about the cover, because if you guys, I'm just going to describe it. Look, you're listening to this on your iPhone, go to Safari, just Google the book, buy the book, you can see the cover. But the cover is in silver letters. It says "My Own Magic, a Reappearing Act." Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then this picture that I would never have guessed unless I read up on it, but that is actually you on the cover. But it's like a beautiful rainbow, like photo synthesized. I'm making up words now. You tell the people what it is.
So if you open it up and see the end sheet, there's the actual real image in there.
And it's like is it in Paris actually?
It's in Dubai.
Okay.
I when it came to the cover, the book is so deeply personal. I really wanted the cover to be as well. And that photo that is on there is the picture of me is taken from an image that I was taken in Dubai. And it's a chapter in the book called Hoodwinked. And it's a moment when memoir is all about reflection and looking back at these moments and realizing the significance of them after the fact that maybe you didn't fully understand or feel in the moment. And when I look back, that is the moment that I really realized I needed to be on my own. and realized that my marriage was not working and was not working for me. And it took me a while after that to fully admit that to myself and to, to start living my own life. But in retrospect, that was the moment. And I had this image of me walking away towards a hot air balloon that I had just flown in. And I was like, I want this to be the image, but I didn't want to use it as it was because I've changed since then. So I actually went to LA. I had my aura photographed, and I learned my aura is blue and green and yellow. And so I took the image and I could have like made a double version of it so that you can almost see the blue, yellow, green version of it is current me. And who I am now and what I show the world now versus the pink and yellow, which is what, is the original image colors. And then I made it so that my body is actually kind of moving through the letters on the book. And the title itself is reflective like that because I called it My Own Magic because I want someone to pick it up and see the word my as in you, your own. And I really hope that there are elements of my story that resonate with everyone and that it inspires everyone to find the magic that is within them and go, take whatever they need to go live their dream life, build their best life. Because, in sharing our story, it helps us realize we're not alone, and it helps us understand what other people have done and how they've done it. And that's why I wrote this book.
Juicy. Lindsay hates when I use that word, but I love it. So juicy. I know you're going to tell us all about your definition of magic in the book, but I would love to hear in real time a little insight into what you label as magic when it comes to like your own magic. Like, are we talking about your gifts? Are we talking about your dream? Are we talking about how it all comes to fruition? Like, tell me more.
Or like your soul. Yeah.
To me, it's your power, and it's what makes you you. And it's a mix of your gifts, your strengths, your weaknesses, but recognizing them and acknowledging them. Your confidence, it's all of these things that make you uniquely you, recognizing that, honoring it, serving it, feeding it, and using it as fuel to go live your dreams. It's a kind of magic when you are actually able to step into who you are and love who you are and acknowledge who you are and start to use it for you instead of reasons against you. And that, to me, is what I realized was magic. And when I realized what my own magic was when everything changed.
Okay, I have a quick update for you guys. There are a few spots left for the October Radical Self-Love Retreat, which is coming up so quick. I'm super excited. So if you want to participate in a week full of activations, upgrades, luxury, and play, join us. We're going to visit a private beach, ride ATVs, have Reiki performed on us, pull all the cards, do a bunch of healing work, eat yummy, yummy food, hang by the pool, and so much more. And I have to say that this might be one of the last ones because I'm thinking of shifting focus to couples retreats next. So if you don't want to miss out on this retreat, now's your time. Visit kelseyAida.com/retreat to apply today.
I have a question. Clearly.
Ask it, girl.
That's why we're all here. But I want to know, because I think for somebody going through the moment or someone who can relate to that, like, for lack of a better image in my head, like that broken on the floor moment where you just have what feels like nothing and you don't know what the step is. Or let me ask it this way. When you were in that old version of you, the previous version that was in the marriage and maybe had some things that they knew maybe weren't aligned but weren't really paying attention, because we all do that, until that moment when you did have all this knowing, how does that feel different than the difference of like stepping into your power and actually owning who you are and feeling that surge of like, I can do anything because I can? for people that can relate to that, of just like walking through life kind of numb and not really knowing what to do, and just knowing it's not right, but not really knowing what to do about it versus where they could be. Is this making any sense?
Yeah, I think so. Tell me if my answer is makes sense
I'm
to you.
sure it'll be great.
When I was in that like really bad place of, before my marriage ended versus, and I'd say that like I'm broken in both places. Like I'm broken, but trying to hide it before my marriage
Right.
ended. And then I'm just sort of like openly broken afterward. The emotion that left was frustration. I was so frustrated when, and the last couple, honestly, the last year of my marriage, and you see it in the book, I'm frustrated. I'm almost starting to act out, and I'm frustrated with myself because I know what I'm doing isn't right. And I know that my life isn't where I want it to be. And I almost kind of also know that part of it is my fault. It's not entirely the relationship, it takes two. Like I'm frustrated and I'm angry, and that disappeared completely when everything came crashing down. I was still broken, I was still sad, almost more so, but the frustration was gone. At least for me, I was still sad and upset, but it was like, okay, that's over. And I recognized this huge relief.
I knew it.
Even
Yeah.
though everything was a mess. And
that's how you know, though.
I say in my book, I say my life was a mess, but at least it was mine again. And this relief, even though it was a disaster, suddenly I was like, it's going to be okay, because even though everything's wrong, I weirdly feel better.
Yeah.
And when you can recognize that, and it's, again, hard to do, but I think a lot of us, when these things fall apart that aren't meant for us, whether it's a job or a relationship or a city we're leaving, you do feel this relief of like, that was wrong all along. And now I don't have to keep trying to make it work when it's not.
Ooh.
Yeah. Relief is huge. Like,
we all can relate to that feeling of like painful relief, but at least it's like, oh, okay.
But it hit me out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even know how like the relief helped me heal, because it just assured me that this breaking was so right, and that I needed to do it, and that whatever was going to come next was going to be better, because it was like a load had lifted off of me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is very powerful.
I'm just thinking of like, all of us have had that experience, but also like a lot of times when I'm working with clients, they're trying to like get to a happy state right away. And I'm like, well, sometimes it's more beneficial to move through relief. Like, what can we do to just bring you to the relief first? And then you can naturally progress into a higher elevated feeling state. Relief is like somewhere towards the bottom or the middle of the emotional scale, and it's something that if you can move towards that, instead of like, I need to be happy right now, it needs to feel great right now, just shoot for relief, aim for relief. There's so much medicine in that. And I think you described feeling that just so beautifully, where the weight feels lifted, and even though everything looks wrong or seems wrong, internally that it's right, because you feel lighter in a way.
Yeah, you have to put the load down before you can make it better. You have to just put it down.
Exactly.
Put the backpack down.
We don't want a quick fix, but the reality is like, patch up jobs don't last very long. Like, you got to renovate. You got to do the work. You got to rip it down to the bones if it's really a mess, and you got to rebuild it slowly. And it's going to take longer than you were quoted.
It's going to be more expensive than you were quoted too.
It's going to cost you things. It's going to cost you people. It's going to cost you, it's going to cost you personally, not money, but like things. But it's worth it. Like, the net of that renovation is like, wow, this is a beautiful new sparkling body and soul I get to live in. And I'm so glad I did the work.
Profitable. My fiance just, he's always been in sales after he played football, but now he is a commercial real estate agent, and he refers to everything as a value add proposition. So if they call, that's what they call it in real estate. Like, if it's an apartment complex that's like a piece of shit, but there's a lot of opportunity to like renovate and then charge more for rent, it's a value add proposition. And I've just been using that language in all of life. Like, okay, maybe this isn't the best scenario, but we have good value add proposition here going on.
I like that a lot. There's always things to steal from the real world.
Right.
Look for the VAP in every situation, guys. There's always a VAP.
There's always a VAP.
So funny.
And now we've shortened it to VAP, and I'm going to tell him. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, the VAP. We talk about that on the show.
You better say it. You better say it right back to him.
And I'll give you credit. I'll be like, it wasn't my genius. It was Lindsay.
Call it a VAP. And when people look at you weird, then you can explain how amazing a VAP is.
Yes, anyway, we like it.
I'm sold.
Kels, I want to ask the question that I know people want to hear, but are we going to go to Patreon? Is this going to be the last question?
Let's wrap it up. We'll make this the last question, then we'll head over there. Sounds good.
Well, I just thought of it. So I don't know if it's the question, but it's a good one. If somebody listening is inevitably going through or has just gone through this process or is just starting on this journey, you may have already said the answer to this, but what would you want them to know? What do you wish someone would have told you first?
I mean, someone did.
Did you listen?
My late brother-in-law, the night this happened, the night my husband left, and I went up to stay with my sister and my brother-in-laws on the couch. And I just did nothing but cry all day. I don't think I even said a single word to anybody. And at the end of the night, he came to give me a hug goodnight, and he looked me in the eyes and said, Annie, best day ever. And I was like, huh? Like what? And what do you mean? Like thinking he was being like sarcastic and funny. And he was like, I mean it, Annie. You were being held back. This set you free. You get to go live your own life now. And I can't wait to see what you do with it. And it remains like the single best piece of advice anyone ever gave.
That'll do it.
And that'll do it. That's what I would say. Like there will be, and I didn't see it as the best day ever that day, but someone else did. And that's the beauty of it, is like the people who know you recognize that you are strong. And when you feel like you're at your worst and everything is a disaster, like don't forget that the people who know the real you and can see your greatness know you're going to be just fine. And there will be a time when you look back and go, that was the best day of my life, because that was the day I got my life back. That was the day I decided to take control. That was the day I decided to go for my dreams. That was day one. And there will be a time that you look at whatever day you thought was your end as actually the best day ever.
I definitely feel that way about all my moments. And I know all the listeners can think of at least one example where that is true, because it is true, because it's always true. So that is absolutely spot on. Perfect. Shout out to the best advice ever and the person who gave it to you. Let's just dedicate that to him, I guess, because why not?
Oh, yeah. I plan to get that tattoo at some point.
Wow.
Yes. What a great tattoo.
Best day ever. Yeah, this is a great tattoo. Oh
I love when people have good, meaningful tattoos with a good backstory.
And it's true. Like the people that do know you the best will hold you up until you can hold yourself up. And if we can just let ourselves be supported and be open to the fact that, yeah, they do know our strength. Even when we don't, or we forgot, they can know it until we remember, That's just
and
so
they
cool.
see our struggles when we don't. Like my family recognized that I was not well, far before I was willing to admit it. That's why, like, you gotta cling to the people who you really know, love you, and know you, because especially when you lose, I lost my husband and felt like my life is over. And it was only a couple of weeks later that I looked around at my family and was like, I still have the loves of my life. Like, what am I worried about?
Yeah.
The people who really love you and know you they come out when you're at your worst, and they help remind you who you are and what you're capable of.
Yay. Shout out to your fam.
Beautiful.
Way to support her fam.
Yeah.
We love that.
Very blessed.
Do they all live in the US while you live abroad, or has anyone followed you? Are you convincing them?
I'm working on it, but I don't think anyone else is sold. They're all in the US, and we're scattered. We're all over the place. We're Houston, New York, LA, Ohio, we're everywhere. So it makes it a little bit easier to live in a different city, because it's not like where everyone's all together and I'm missing out on the daily fun.
Right.
But I come back a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. This has been so life-giving. I think
Ooh.
that's a good word for the conversation. Life-giving, and it just makes me
I
want to
enjoyed
own my magic, and hopefully it makes everyone listening want to own their magic. And it's funny because your book is called My Own Magic, but I almost feel like it's secretly called Your Own Magic, right? Like it's almost a story, but it's a manual, right? For how to access your own magic, and just a beautiful example of that journey. So thanks for sharing it with the world. Can you tell everyone where they can work with you, find out more about you, where they can buy the book, how to buy the book?
All the things.
All the things. I am AnnaKloots.com. On Instagram, I'm Anna Kloots. On TikTok, I'm Anna Kloots. So I'm just me everywhere. And the book is available anywhere books are sold. It's already on Barnes and Noble. It's in their shop already. Local bookstores are always amazing. If you contact your local bookstore, Amazon, of course, it should be available everywhere. And I did record the audiobook in my own voice as well. So I just recently got into audiobooks, and especially when it's an author telling their own story, they're good. I love hearing someone read their own words.
Beautiful. Everyone, go get the book, My Own Magic, Anna Kloots, out now. It's going to change your life, put more sparkles into your earbuds, your eyeballs, I guess, in this case, or earbuds if you listen to it, audio format. But yeah, we're here for the magic and the sparkle, as you all know. And we just love you so much. So we're going to head over to the Patreon to continue this conversation for a little. So if you want to get the extended version of this episode, see the beautiful cover on our video, and watch the conversation, you can go to patreon.com/highvibe. And until then, we'll talk at you next week. Bye. Hey there. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video, so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids, and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibing It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.